Welcome to the Association's Futures Podcast, brought to you by Association Activision. We ask you to join us to discuss the future of the Association's community. How can we build and focus on the many futures we will see during these disruptive times? Let's get started with today's guest.
Welcome to Association's Futures Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Butera from Association Activision. Today's guest is Amy Farmer. Amy is currently the Senior Director of Mobility at the American Association of Veterinary State Boards. She holds a doctorate in policy analysis and educational leadership from the University of Missouri, Columbia, as well as the CAE, Certified Association Executive, issued by the American Society of Association Executives, and a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Certificate from the University of South Florida. Before joining AAVSB, Amy was a public educator as a field service coordinator for the Missouri State Teachers Association and a K-12 administrator. Among her many skills are leadership, decision-making, strategic planning, and collaborative problem-solving. Amy is focused on building strong, collaborative teams committed to developing high-quality work and achieving outstanding results. One of her focuses is strong analytical skills and the ability to navigate complex challenges and provide sustainable solutions. Amy is a seasoned association professional who is committed to driving continuous improvement, operational efficiency, and long-term business success. Join me in welcoming Amy to today's podcast. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You know, usually we have individuals on the podcast who may be CEOs. One of the great things about this podcast is that you bring another perspective as a director in an association. So let's start with what inspired you to work in associations and how has that experience shaped your perspective?
Well, as you hear from many association professionals, we didn't all start out here. And as you mentioned, I have a K-12 education is my formal background, but association's commitment to service, it really resonates me versus a commitment to profit and to just the bottom line. It does sound trite, but in the private sector, I was missing that community and sense of purpose. I just didn't see it there. I did spend about 6 years working in the private sector, and that time was extremely valuable. I developed the skills and the discipline to learn and know our numbers and what they mean. And if I can expand on that a bit, because I don't want anyone to think that nonprofits don't have to worry about revenue or expenses, because they certainly do. However, our focus is to maximize the service to people, to our members, and to our industries. Nonprofit is a tax status. It's not a revenue goal by any means. And my experience with associations, it's definitely going to be where I end my career. This is my professional home in associations. And it's given me that greater appreciation that people are the mission, and it's not just about profits. There's a little intersection in associations where I feel like I really thrive and I really like, and it's between strategy and operations. Being able to meld those two, I love it there, and associations provides me a place to do that.
What a great answer to the question. Now, with your experience, what do you see as the most significant challenges associations are facing in the 21st century?
We have several, as everyone does, for sure. I would say, one of them is many people in associations, they see selling as distasteful, as something that needs to be done in the private sector. And I think we need to switch that mindset. The attention span of our members people in general, it is limited. We are constantly being bombarded with choices on how to spend our time, how to spend our resources, and we have to sell the benefits of our membership. So I think one significant challenge is to not see the selling of our benefits as something that we need to be doing. Another one I would say is moving along business as usual. That's the way we've always done it. It is not going to work anymore. It's not, nothing, everything is always changing. I'd even say, did it ever work? We should never be doing things as we have always done them. We need to aggressively reach out to people and meet them with a message that really resonates with in a format that they want, and not just be delivering what we want for them. Sometimes what we want for them isn't exactly what they need. So I think being open to that is really important. And we need to be very intentional about innovation, making it a priority in our strategic processes, in our daily business practices, just always innovating. Recently, I heard Mary Byers speak, and if you're familiar with associations, you're familiar with Mary Byers, and she said something that really stuck with me was, we need to be innovating 10%. If you would just innovate 10% every day, imagine what you'd have after months, after 6 months, after a year. So innovation is really important to me.
You've really hit on an interesting subject in the association community, that being change. Associations are notorious for doing things like they've always done them and having traditions that, were really, interesting and wonderful in a time past. But this is a different environment in which we work. What do you see as the difficulty that associations have in dealing with the fact that we're in a new economy, a new social framework? This is a different century. It's not the 21st. So how does change play into your role?
I am extremely fortunate to work at the AAVSB with our current CEO, Jim Penrod. He is very supportive of measured risk, let's say. As long as it's safe and as long as it makes sense, he doesn't want you just winging it with your gut or something. But we've got some really great innovative ideas and projects going on right now that I have the opportunity to be involved in. It allows me to talk about that operations and be in that strategy area. One of those is a mobility assistance program we're about to pilot. It's going to assist all stakeholders in the veterinary profession. The veterinary profession is as specialized and mobile as its clientele is. So people are everywhere now, and veterinarians need to be able to move just as well. And so we're working on a new program that's really going to help the veterinary state boards who do the licensure, as well as the veterinary professionals that need to be mobile in order to meet their clients' needs. And another big project that we're working on right now involves a lot of out-of-the-box ideas for a foreign trained veterinarians have a significant challenge coming to work and get licensed in the United States. And we've got some really great ideas that I'm not going to let out just yet, but it allows me to play in that area. But it's really innovative, and I think that innovation into the 21st century is what we need to be focusing on, and taking these ideas and being fruitful with them.
It's interesting because, of course, your primary audience, your primary stakeholder is, of course, your member boards and individuals. I'm wondering whether or not there's stakeholders outside the immediate family of veterinarian state boards that impact the way the association has to operate.
Sure. There are all types of influences. There was a period of time during the pandemic when some states were asking veterinarians to administer COVID shots. And there has always been a very clear line. Veterinarians are working with animals. You stay out of the human health. But there was such a unique time in the world that we needed help. And so there's all types of influences that are constantly coming in. Technology is changing it's impacting the veterinary profession. I don't know what we could say that is really not a stakeholder in veterinary medicine right now.
Another interesting piece that you just mentioned is technology and advanced technologies. Has your organization begun to think about the appropriate and ethical use of artificial intelligence in the work that you do?
We need to. We're not embracing it as much as I know we will need to in the future, but there are so many aspects of AI that is impacting the work processes of our veterinary professionals that we need to get in the game, and we need to begin addressing it. But it's tough. It's tough. And personally, I'm extremely curious about AI, what it can do, what I should be using it for, what we could be using it for. But I also have a healthy fear of it. We don't know a lot about it just yet. So it's an interesting time, but technology, it is the future. It's our norm. It's coming, and AI is part of that. I expect us to begin addressing AI soon. One of the departments that I work with is the exams department. And there's a lot of questions about AI for item writing and what role should it have? Could it be used for some of that initial item writing and then go to our SMEs in order to expand and format and review those items? So where does that fit in? That's a conversation that we have regularly with our testing vendor, is where does AI fit in the future of our exam development?
As I work with associations, one of the things I notice a lot is that the total amount of money that we have to spend on advanced technologies is increasing in the association world. And that puts a strain on other parts of the organization's ability and capacity. Are you seeing any of that, or is it, we're just transitioning?
Right now we're transitioning, I think, but we've got to make that move so that the money that we're spending on technology is empowering staff. It's allowing them to do their job better. It's allowing them to do their job more efficiently. So yes, we're spending a lot on it. We need to make sure that we're intentional and that we're purposeful with that technology that we're bringing into our associations to make the very best use of it.
In a whole other area for our discussion here, culture in organizations drives just about everything. So how does organizational culture impact your association and associations in general? And what role do you see the staff, the elected leadership, and volunteers playing in organizational culture?
I think you summed it up when you said culture drives everything, because it does. It shapes what we do, and it shapes how we do it. Too often, associations can have a leadership group that defines the culture that they want, but it's not necessarily the same as how things are being done by the people within the organization. Staff and volunteer engagement people, you'll notice a trend. I say people a lot. I'm very, very passionate about the involvement of people, but it's the people that are defining the culture. And it's crucial to ensure that the culture reflects the mission of the organization and the motivations of the people in the organization.
In addition to culture and the insights that you've already provided us, one of the things that's important in organizational culture is our ability to measure impact. So, thinking about your association and the association community in general, how do you think we should measure success beyond those traditional metrics that we use, like numbers of members and so forth and so
Hmm. Great question. As you said, with traditional metrics, members will always vote with their feet and with their dollars. They're going to. For associations, member retention is always going to be one of those traditional key metrics. We have seen, especially in one of the departments that I've worked with the longest, is a lot of success with user surveys, organic user surveys that our staff are creating and reaching out to users directly. It's time consuming, sure, but that personal, organic, coming from our staff has been very helpful. Which really, I think our most important metric is staff engagement, empowerment, and accountability. When your staff are representing those traits, when those are part of their everyday work and commitment to your association can't help but be successful. If I can share an example of something that comes to mind recently, is it kind of seems obvious that yes, you want your staff engaged, but true engagement, empowerment, and accountability, I don't know that it happens everywhere. An example is I work with someone whose primary responsibility, or a good chunk of her responsibility, is answering the phones, taking calls in from our licensees. And she noticed a trend. And to me, that's engagement. Some people can just answer the phone, answer the question, and move on. But because she's engaged in her job, she started to notice a trend. Just simply started making some tick marks about how often she was getting this one particular question. Took that upon herself, wasn't asked to do that. Once she felt, and because she feels empowered, she decided to take a few extra minutes when she was getting that same similar call and asking, what makes you ask that? Where's this confusion? Asking a few more questions. And so, she feels empowered to do that. So she was engaged in her job to notice the problem. She felt empowered to take it a step further. She brought back her informal research to our group. We discussed it, dug a little deeper as a team, and realized that there was an issue on the website that had some misleading information. And she took that information, worked through it, and got the website changed. And she's a frontline employee, but because she has that engagement and that empowerment, and then felt that accountability to get that situation resolved, that doesn't happen everywhere. But because we have so many people that are doing that, it really makes us successful as an organization and successful as a team. And it takes a lot of intentional work to do that. It means involving them. It means prioritizing communication, helping them understand what is their role in the organization and how their role, regardless of where they are on the traditional hierarchy, is important and affects the association and the work that we do. So I think a significant metrics is how engaged and empowered and accountable are your employees and your staff within your organization.
That's an excellent example that you just provided us. And I was thinking along that same line, since you mentioned this, what is it that people in your position expect from those individuals who are above you in the chain of command to help with engagement and the intentionality that you've spoken about?
Prioritizing communication and making sure that we understand we can't all be in the board meetings. We can't all be in every meeting. So there has to be those open lines of communication where it doesn't just trickle down, but it is intentionally sent down sent down those lines of the hierarchy per se. We've got to over communicate what we can. I understand when there's sensitive HR information, but my role in the middle, like not in the C-suite, but also, having several direct reports below me, is making sure that the message is clear and that the role of everyone is understood and how they're going to be accountable for moving the strategy forward and the business's goals and objectives. So just communication, it's got to be free flowing and move up and down the chain.
A wonderful response. I want to ask you a kind of very broad question now.
Mhm.
So where do you envision associations heading in this next decade?
Sure. I am seeing a real trend. There's a real movement away from formal education in a classroom. It's very expensive, time and resource wise. And associations need to provide people the ability to develop skills and earn certifications and credentials that are recognized and valued, such as the CAE. The CAE requires time, it requires experience in associations, but it doesn't require a specific set of classes. It doesn't require you to have gone. There are several people who have CAEs that don't have a formal education, some very successful ones. We've got ASAE board members who have their CAE and may or may not have a degree beyond high school, and that's okay. But those certifications that are teaching those real world, those applicable, recognized and valued skills, that's where our future is going. We can't continue, and it hurts my education heart, to say that sitting in the classroom might not be the best way anymore, and it's certainly not the only way.
Well, not to be negative, but what
Mhm.
is a great inhibitor to success in the association world from your perspective, as one who has to run a program, has many people that are above them and others that you are responsible for? What are those things that just make it so difficult to get the work done?
I think it goes back to the way we've always done it, and not staff not feeling empowered to make suggestions or to make changes, or not having an open line of communication to share their thought, not being sure where to take an idea, or having that safe space to share an idea that they have. So challenging status quo is probably, I think, one of the greatest inhibitors of progress and moving things forward. And keeping your frontline staff, they're so important. They're so crucial. They're the ones that are talking to your members. They're the ones that are hearing the pain points, hearing what's happening. If there was something good to come out of COVID, and I know there were a few good things that came out of COVID, I think virtual meetings, as much as many of us may dread them, it allowed us to bring voices to the table that previously weren't. Typically, if there was going to be a meeting, you would get your senior leadership or your C-suite together, and they would talk about what they think the problem was. If we had a problem with the virtual meetings and the takeover of remote work and the movement towards all of that, you can bring any voice to the front line. If you want to know what's wrong with the phone systems, ask the person that's taking the phone calls. And we can do that now virtually. You couldn't just bring everybody into the conference room, but you can bring everybody into a Teams meeting or to a Zooms meeting. Bring the voices that have that firsthand experience and bring them to bring them to the conversation. Let them tell you what's actually happening. Don't expect management, senior leadership, C-suite to guess or assume or share some feedback. Bring that actual voice. Get the work done and learn about it from the front lines.
Amy, I think that's excellent advice for all of us. I want to thank you for joining me today and helping us explore association futures. If someone wanted to reach out to you for additional comment or
Mhm.
to involve you, what would be the best way for them to reach you?
Sure. They can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find there. My contact information is there, so I think that'd probably be the best way.
That's great, Amy. I want to thank you again, and I want to thank our audience for its time together with us today. As those of you who watch the broadcast know, Association Futures is a forward-thinking podcast that delves into the future of associations. Our mission, our mission is to help associations and executives navigate the ever-evolving landscape by anticipating trends, avoiding short-sighted decisions, and ensuring long-term success. Tune in again in 2 weeks to gain insights, foresights, and accountability strategies for your association's journey. Thank you. See you soon.